Damian Lillard is going to the Milwaukee Bucks. What? We'll talk about the trade. We'll talk about how it impacts the Boston Celtics facing the Milwaukee Bucks, and the impact on the rest of the East, Philly, Miami. Lots to talk about right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm here for you every Monday through Friday with a free, fresh, brand new podcast dropped directly to your device if you're a subscriber. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can do that on YouTube as well. Ring the bell, get notified when I drop a new video. Get into the comment section. Let me know what you think about what I'm talking about, what my opinions are about this Damian Lillard trade to Milwaukee. I mean, I was prepared for Miami. I was prepared for maybe Toronto. Milwaukee, I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger on this. Giannis Antetokounmpo said, be serious about being a contender, and Milwaukee said, okay, no problem. We're going to talk about it all right now with my buddy, my man, Tom Westerholm. Tom,
what up?
How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I'm still we can't say what we both texted each other like
not
5
allowed
times to on the pod, but
yeah.
But
the text back and forth. Yeah. Yeah. Gosh darn it. Can't believe this deal. It's a humdinger. Oh man. All right, so Milwaukee gets Damian Lillard. Portland and Phoenix are involved in the deal. It's a 3-team deal. Portland gets Drew Holiday. They get DeAndre Ayton. They get Toumani Camara, which, okay. They get 3 picks from Milwaukee, 1 2029 first-round pick, 2 pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. All of those are unprotected. Phoenix gets Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson. So just before we even get into the Lillard stuff, side note, all of the headlines are going to be about Lillard. Phoenix did okay. You know, they basically got DeAndre Ayton out of everybody's way because he likes to hang around that middle of the floor, and you're not going to have a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Everybody remember Bradley Beal's on that team now. You're not going to have a team full of those guys and be able to have DeAndre Ayton stuck in the middle of the floor. So they get, a rebounder. So just want to throw it out there that Phoenix did okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't watched a ton of Yusuf Nurkic in recent, last year. Didn't watch a ton. A lot of people I respect say he fell off quite a bit. I believe them, but sure. Yeah. I mean, getting rid of Ayton with the roster that they have might be addition by subtraction. So yeah,
that's one thing. But anyway, that was my little Phoenix thing. Okay.
Yeah. You just want to do 30 minutes on Phoenix?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what people in the Eastern Conference want to hear.
Clamoring for. Yes.
So anyway, Yusuf Nurkic. I'm sorry. Damian Lillard to Milwaukee. I know you hear that and you go, oh, great. Well, now we're screwed. And that's like a lot of reaction. What's your initial reaction to Lillard going to Milwaukee?
I mean, my first reaction is just kind of like it is kind of funny that we expected that Damian Lillard was going to go to an Eastern Conference contender who was going to face the Celtics, and just got the contender wrong. I think, I do think this the Bucks are tough, man. This is going to be like that. I don't know how you stop a Giannis Dame pick and roll. Just got Dame curling off a screen at 40 feet thinking I could shoot this, and then Giannis just galloping down the lane. Yeah, man, have fun. Like that's going to be
Yeah.
tough. I do think that there's going to be I think Celtics Bucks games are going to be a shootout this year because I don't think the Bucks have a lot for the Celtics defensively. I mean, Holiday being gone hurts them certainly. I think having Porzingis, I think we talked about this on the last pod. Having Porzingis hurts them with Lopez. That's not a great matchup for them there. And on the other end, the Celtics don't have Marcus Smart anymore. So there's defensive player of the year gone who can't face Damian Lillard, and there's Grant Williams isn't there to defend Giannis. I think these are going to be some high scoring games between these two teams, but I do think that this, the stuff that the Bucks gave up is not insignificant. I think they left themselves a nasty little time capsule at the end of the decade that's going to hurt. Doesn't bother them now, obviously, because they're not thinking about the end of the decade. But I do think this in the end, I think that they got significantly better and are going to be really, really interesting. I think they're going to be a really, really good team. They were already going to be. I think they're going to be an even better team, obviously.
Yeah. I think there are two things, and we'll get to the C's perspective in a little bit, but one of the things is that they did get, better. I mean, Damian Lillard is very, very dangerous. And Jrue Holiday, obviously defensive player of the year candidate, all defensive team candidate, shot 40% almost from three. So a guy that can certainly go out there and hit shots when he's open. But this is a dynamic scorer who can get his shot whenever he wants. It's such a different element, and it's just going to open things up. And if Chris Middleton can be old school Chris Middleton, recapture some of that glory, then the Bucks are going to have a little bit of a run here for the next 2-3 years of being very, very, very dangerous. But the other part of it is I still like Boston's matchup against these guys. Again, I'll get to that in just a second, but it's going to be interesting to see how they change. And now that they've got a new head coach, maybe this was, the time for them to make this change and say, hey, let's give this new head coach something to work with. It's interesting. We talked last year about Joe Mazzulla not having the ability to plan and all of that and how much it hurt him. And Adrian Griffin comes in. He's got all of this time to plan. And 5 days before training camp, they go, oh, by the way, here's Damian Lillard. And I'm sure he was in on the possibility of getting Dame. So it's not exactly the same, but it does have some undertones of okay, we have to change how we run our offense.
Definitely. I think the big difference, of course, being that Mazzulla had to was given an entire team, right? Like an entire here you go. Here's this whole new thing. Whereas Griffin's been given a All NBA Hall of Fame guy, at the tail end of his prime, but still in his prime that way. I mean, I think one of the things that really strikes me about them picking up Lillard is so Holiday obviously is a really good player and a good 3-point shooter, all that. But this was also kind of one of my things. If Miami had gotten Dame, right, you go back to Holiday's 3-point shooting in the playoffs, right? It's a pretty popular topic. He's struggled shooting threes in the playoffs. The last since 2021, if you go series by series on Basketball Reference, 20%, 26.1%, 37%, 31.4%, 34.5%, 30%. Then last year in the one round that Milwaukee got to play, 28.6%. And it's just you're swapping out that unreliable shooting for a guy who if Lillard became unreliable in the playoffs, that's just there's nothing you can do. That's a guy who should be lights out and is he's one of the, he's got one of the, great clutch 3-pointers of all time, to win a series, great shooter. And I think to me, that was also going to be, I think, one of the biggest things about Miami, right? Where it's you had Gabe Vincent who just went off and lifted that team into the finals. But when he went cold, him and Caleb Martin weren't as hot in the finals. That's when they lose. you get Lillard and you kind of fill that void, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now Miami's in business. I feel kind of the same way about Milwaukee, where it's like now they've got that guy that
Yes.
should not go cold. This should be the guy who lifts them in that way.
So, yes. So it makes it, like you said, very much a potential shootout with the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the Celtics perspective. What does this mean for Boston? What does this mean for the matchup with the Celtics? We'll talk about that in just a minute. First, today's show is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Now, we know that you're busy. We know that you're out running around. I was out with my dogs and was running errands, and then I hear Damian Lillard gets traded to Milwaukee. Got to rush back. So what do I got to now? My errand's gone, except I got DoorDash. DoorDash can go get my groceries for me. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites. Now you can go get your delivery from the grocery store. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You get exactly what you ordered, or DoorDash makes it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them out yourself. And if you want even more value, you can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use the code LOCKEDONNBA at checkout. It's a limited time offer and terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20. No minimum subtotal, $0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKEDONNBA. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Want to point you in the direction of the Locked On NBA podcast, which already has a Damian Lillard podcast out. So on top of things on the Locked On NBA podcast. So Monday through Friday, I'm on there. I'm on the Wednesday show, so check them out. Subscribe wherever you got the Locked On Celtics podcast. I'm having camera issues over here. I'm going to straighten that out. I think I'm a little all over the place. Hey, this is. I like to do this as live. I like to let people just feel like this is a live show. So okay, Boston. I said before, I'm
going to start doing the 30 Rock thing that Tracy Jordan does, where he's like, "Uh-oh, I'm breaking."
Yeah, thank you. Please do that randomly.
Okay.
The Celtics matchup. I still like the matchup against Milwaukee. I think the Porzingis deal. It is funny. Celtics get rid of their, big time perimeter defender, and Milwaukee goes, okay, yeah, sure, let's do that and see how it goes. And so Holiday and Smart are out, and Boston says, well, we'll go with Porzingis, and we'll go with Lillard, and they kind of approach things a little bit differently. I think the ability to throw Porzingis and Rob out there kind of builds that wall against Milwaukee that it might be enough to be a deterrent for Giannis. It might be enough to keep him maybe from getting all the way to the rim. And if you can do that, you can maybe find a way to stay home on Lillard. I think the Celtics, with their length on the perimeter, if you're running pick and roll, I'd just blitz the hell out of Dame and just big arms, long arms, and take advantage of the fact that he's 6'2", and you just run at him, and hopefully you can get him to make some mistakes, and you put. I mean, Derek White is a big dude. Yeah. He can get out there and he's got long arms. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, you can put big perimeter defenders on there. And if you insist on running that pick and roll, you can keep one of the bigs home, and you can blitz Damian Lillard. And I think the Celtics can survive against that play. I think I like Boston still. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking it's a close matchup, but the biggest issue for Boston I don't think, isn't the matchup necessarily. It's how good Milwaukee is during the regular season and taking that top seed and influencing the path that Boston will take through the playoffs. And obviously we don't know what that path is going to be. Season hasn't started yet, but I think seeding in regular season is the bigger threat to Boston than, oh my God, they've got too much firepower for the Celtics to handle.
Yeah, I can see that. I do think that it's, adding a star at the level that they just did is quite something. It's like they've spent all this time with Chris Middleton as their, second best player. I mean, you could make a case for Holiday, but like Chris Middleton is kind of their number 2 scorer.
Sure.
And all of a sudden he is a distant third, right? Like, so I think to an extent it's kind of hard to predict, right? Because like Middleton's always, I mean, I know the joke is he's always played well against the Celtics, but like he's about to have opportunities that he's never had before,
Sure.
like against every team, right? So I think it's kind of hard to project exactly like, okay, the Celtics can blitz this or the Celtics can do this, because it's just like, yeah, I don't know how the rest of these guys are going to play around these two. I mean, it's kind of similar to Porzingis, right? Where Porzingis is about to get opportunities that he's never had because these are, easily the best, duo of teammates in his career. It's going to be the same thing in Milwaukee. So like, I don't know. I'm fascinated obviously by it, but I think like it's going to be really hard to project until we see. I genuinely at this point, I don't know what to make of this Milwaukee team. Like I feel like this close to the season, it's like they might be just unbeatable. They might, they might flame out. Like, I don't know. We like this pairing. And the other thing that gives me a little pause is guys are historically bad at picking who they would love to play with. Dame and Giannis have had this like, yeah, I would play with that guy if I could choose anybody. Players are terrible GMs. If I were to put some money on that, maybe take the under for that reason. I believe you are muted. So Tracy Jordan, I'm breaking.
Oh, damn. How am I muted? I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about that episode, and it's just hilarious.
It's a good episode.
It's a great episode. So much so that I've completely been thrown off. What the hell what was the point that you were just making?
That players are historically bad.
Oh yeah,
GMs.
Players are historically bad GMs. We can tell like in the All-Star voting, players are either doing each other favors or they're way overvaluing their own guys.
Yeah.
Or like it's
a little bit of all that.
A little bit of everything, doing their agents a favor, all that stuff. So players, there's no perfect solution, right? There's no perfect, who can pick, because GMs can be bad at it. We can be bad at it. Players can be bad at it. You don't know exactly how that fit is going to work, but I can say that, I mean, obviously with Lillard and Giannis together, obviously, like you said, there's a ton of scoring ability, but look at what they lost. They lost an amazing defender in Holiday. Regardless of his 3-point shooting, they lost the guy that could really defend strongly in the perimeter. Grayson Allen was
Holiday gave Tatum some problems, incidentally, a few times. Like he was really kind of the only guy that they had who could do that.
Right. And like if you want to say, okay, Chris Middleton's a big time defender, sure, but who defends the other? You had Holiday and Middleton. Now you've only got Middleton, and I don't know anybody else that can defend like that on the perimeter. So the Celtics still have the ability to get loose. This opens things up for Derek White somehow, whoever is playing the point. I think it gives the Bucks an incredible offensive dynamic. It does hurt them defensively. They are going to have to figure out something defensively. And so all of this is to say that Boston, like, I think you're right. It's going to be a shootout, but Boston has the chance to be a much better defensive team, and they have the ability to, I think, first of all, they have the ability to play Brook Lopez off the floor so they can open up paths to the rim. You're now driving past Damian Lillard, so you have easier opportunities to get to the rim, which means Giannis is going to have to stay closer to the rim, which means Giannis, sure, he might make a lot of plays, but Giannis might also get himself into foul trouble. So you have that ability to maybe get him into some foul trouble, especially if Jayson Tatum looks in that full-length mirror I kept talking about and realizes he's a giant human being and he can play right through a guy like Giannis. Giannis is an elite defender, so it's not – what I'm saying is dictate the pace, play through contact. You can end up drawing a foul. So that does open up weaknesses against the Bucks. I think the Bucks can be a 60-win team, and I think Boston could be favored against Milwaukee because of what they can do to Milwaukee's defense, whereas Boston's defense can be pretty strong with Derek White at the top, Jaylen and Jayson on the wings, Rob and Porzingis at the rim. I see a Milwaukee team potent, obviously adding star power, but taking a big hit defensively when it comes to Boston, a much bigger hit defensively, and Boston having the pieces offensively to exploit that and the pieces defensively to kind of do enough. I'm not sitting there saying Boston's going to sweep a series or win each game by 20, but do enough to win a series against Milwaukee should that actually come to pass.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. I think especially like just to your point, like this Celtics team could be really good defensively. I am really, you brought up the kind of having those, the bigs in the paint, trying to wall it off against Giannis. I'm really interested to see how that goes because Rob has historically been just demolished by Giannis. Like he has nothing for him.
This could be an Al Horford series.
Could be an Al Horford series. Got to keep him healthy. Like it's
right.
Which incidentally is one of the reasons I saw a lot of people on Celtics kind of online being like, hey, is what about if Drew Holiday is going to be available? Maybe you make a run at him. Not at that contract, not at one of the big guys that you would have to give up as part of that deal because you need the big depth. Your bigs are way too fragile, and you're going to need all of them against the Bucks. So yeah, probably not would be my vote on that one.
Oh, but Drew Holiday, I am afraid, Tom, about where Drew Holiday might end up. I am very afraid of where he might end up because I think Miami might have stumbled into an even better fit. We'll talk about that in just a second. Thank you for making Locked On Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I would love it if you went over to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast and check out Josh Lloyd. He is going to help you win your league. He's the GOAT when it comes to fantasy basketball. He is a juggernaut on this network, and that's because he knows what he's doing. When I say juggernaut on this network, he is just ridiculous, like just completely outpacing everybody. I can't even begin to express the numbers. That's how popular he is because he's great at fantasy basketball. Go find his podcast, win your league. Tom, the Miami Heat, I'd like to point and laugh at the Miami Heat, but I think they still have an opportunity here to get Holiday, give up a little bit less, or maybe that offer that they were giving up for Lillard, maybe you just modify that a little bit and you make that offer for Holiday. I think Drew Holiday is a better fit for Miami than Damian Lillard because he is a defensive-minded, tough SOB that fits right into Heat culture, that fits right into their entire ethos. He can hit, and I know you talked about his playoff performances, and Maybe being in Miami can change that, but his regular seasons in Milwaukee have been really, really good. So you get yourself a really, really good shooter. You get yourself a good point guard. You get yourself a guy that can go out there and defend like a maniac. If they want to get him, I'm afraid that Miami could pick up Holiday. Obviously, he's not as good a player as Lillard, but I think because of the defensive-minded team that Miami always throws out there, he's actually a better fit and might actually make them just as good as if they'd gotten Lillard.
Counterpoint. What Portland's gonna trade with Miami now? Like that's happening?
They might. Well, I mean, they've been engaged in talks. I think maybe part of this has been, hey, we'll trade you. We'll honor your request, Dame, but we're not going to be the team that bends and sends you to exactly where you want to go. But now, I don't know, like Miami's still there. Miami still has pieces. They have players that they can offer. Their offer was bad for Lillard. Maybe it's not as bad. Maybe Portland doesn't think that deal is as bad a deal if it's for Holiday.
I'd be fascinated to know if there's like if those two teams can even trade together at this point, just like after all of this. Like I just feel like like that deal, like it was not that Portland ended up getting. Did you think it was that much better than what Miami was offering? Like I didn't think it was appreciably better than what Miami was offering.
I think the picks, I don't know what Miami's picks were going to be.
I mean, yeah, because we don't know what the offer was for sure.
I will say I like the picks that Portland got for Portland because Giannis is going to be 33, 34, and 35.
Yeah.
At the time of those picks are conveying, and Lillard's going to be gone. He'll be done. Giannis at that point might be done, or at least done in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I can see Milwaukee when Giannis is 33. He's 28. He's going to turn 29 this season. So in 4 years after this run has ended, remember, Milwaukee is in the same CBA boat as Boston. They are a very expensive team. They're going to have to start blowing things up soon. They might end up having to restock their picks by trading Giannis and getting a bunch of picks from somebody at that time, which means Milwaukee could be in a rebuild and Portland could be like, oh yeah, thank you. Unprotected number one pick, top 5 picks. These could be picks that Portland really cashes in on. And Milwaukee doesn't care because they'd be like, hopefully from Milwaukee's perspective, they're sitting there saying, if we can win 1 or 2 more championships out of this, people aren't going to care if it takes a little bit longer to rebuild.
Right. For sure. I mean, I think you could probably say a similar thing about the Heat picks that, if you get those pushed down the line, like, you could say the same thing about Lillard's age and Jimmy Butler and all that. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, to your original point, right? Like, I do think Drew Holiday would be a great fit in Miami. I do think there's going to be a lot of teams interested, right? I mean, like Holiday's
a lot of teams,
like really good player, really easy fit, right? Like you just get that guy and just plug him right in. Like, you know what you're getting.
And he's expiring contract, I believe. So,
okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So a very valuable guy. I think, I think if I'm Miami, like this, I don't think that I think this is a bad day in South Beach. Like you just I mean, especially, you look ahead, like the Blazers managed to like also knock Giannis off the board for them. Right. Like this is not a, now it's, looking a little murkier, like what direction to go next in terms of like pursuing guys. But I mean, getting Drew Holiday would be nice for the present. I think that like Lillard would have papered over a lot of the offensive issues that I kind of expect that Miami's going to have next year.
Mm-hmm.
Would have made things a lot easier in the postseason. To me, I think this deal really, like, I don't know, down the line, I might regret saying this, but I think this really cemented Milwaukee and Boston at the top of the standings. And it's like everybody else below them, including Miami. Like, sure, if they go out and get Holiday, that's a nice player. I think even if they go get him, to me, it is 2 with an exclamation point and then the rest. At the
yeah. just to be clear, Drew Holiday has a player option for next year at $39.4 million. I would expect him to pick that up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody's going to pay him that kind of money.
No.
Which makes it very difficult to trade him. So
right.
They have to
That's
be Portland has to be willing to take back bad salary.
Which they should be. I mean, well, like, what are you going to use that space for?
And what you do is you send Kyle Lowry, who makes $29.6 million. You send Kyle Lowry and, a couple of these young guys and a pick or something, one of the young guys and a pick. If you have, if you believe in Nikola Jovic, if you believe in, Jaime Jaquez, and you send one of those picks,
which I've established that I do,
which we know that you do. So it's a way to get off of Kyle Lowry, and Portland's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? You're taking 2 years of Holiday, and you get it really, it's costing you a young guy and a pick if that's enough for Portland. But the question really is the competition. And when there's a lot of competition, the price goes up. And what's the price going to end up being for Holiday? So, Miami might miss out. They might miss out. And if they miss out on Holiday, then it really becomes a bad time in Miami, because Jimmy Butler's not going to be happy. And when Jimmy ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Yeah, he makes very sure of that. Yeah.
Yes. So, hey, maybe this is the end of the Miami run. I just don't see. Everybody talks about them making the finals last year. No one wants to talk about the fact that they had to come back in the fourth quarter of a play-in that almost eliminated them. Thank you, Jimmy Butler, for that. They almost didn't even make the playoffs. So
right, and they were lifted by unsustainable 3-point shooting. Like,
it was
a 33.9% career 3-point shooter shot 51.2% in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, sorry, that's not sustainable.
Congratulations to them for that. Like, that's great. Like, for them,
great job.
Congratulations. It's a wild run. One of the most.
You just should have gone and gotten Dame Lillard so you could do it again.
Yeah, you should have. I would not mind if this is the end of the Miami. Just goodbye. End that. I agree with you. I think the East, because we already talked about competitors and all that. I think the East is now Milwaukee, Boston, like you said, with the exclamation points. I think Cleveland is separate from the rest. So I think it's like
maybe the Knicks, to your point yesterday or the other day. Like,
maybe the Knicks I think might be at the top of that next group.
Sure.
Philly depends. Philly's the wild card. I don't know where Philly's going to end up going.
Yeah.
Right. We just heard that James Harden is not going to go to media day.
Yeah.
So, like, here we go, baby. It's going to be a mess. So who knows what Philly could completely fall apart.
Yeah. Harden, or maybe Tyrese Maxey just takes a big step up. Like, I mean,
who knows?
They're real high on him. Like, I could see it.
Maybe Philly gets Holiday, and that helps them fill a void.
Kyle Neubeck was saying that they're very interested. Yep.
Could very easily happen. So I don't know where to put Philly right now. But so for right now, I'm dismissing them as a contender because they're just in too much disarray. If they want to prove themselves to be a contender by December, I'll gladly elevate them, but I'm waiting.
Yeah. I think that's fair, especially after Tatum. Did you see the video of Tatum just like roasting Kevin Hart, where Kevin Hart was like, standing in your way is the Philadelphia 76ers. And Tatum goes, are they?
Oh, I haven't watched that yet. I saw the clip where he gave Kevin Hart his Deuce jersey, making fun of, that was funny.
The Sixers clip was pretty good.
Okay. I'm going to watch. I can't wait to watch that. So I'm going to put Cleveland as like a separated, like the tier 2 and then tier 3 is everybody else. You keep the Knicks on top of that, Philly, wherever maybe in there. But this definitely makes Milwaukee, Boston, the top 2. Forget what I was saying the other day about Cleveland. Milwaukee, right up top. So But I'm going to stand on this for now. I like Boston's chances. I like Boston's matchup. At this point, I still like what Boston can do against Milwaukee. Let's, revisit this after the season starts.
No, I agree with you. On September 27, way before we've seen any basketball,
right?
We think
Just
that the
guessing.
Celtics match up pretty well against the Bucks. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I think that's fair and couched in plenty of language that allows us to be wrong if we need to be. Because Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo are about to play together, and that is something.
That could be, that could be something. That could be something. All right. We're gonna wrap it up here. Tom, any final words?
I'm breaking.
I was hoping that's what we're gonna be. All right.
That was a lob. Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. Finishing the alley-oop. Tom Westerholm. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Hope you've enjoyed the show. If you're not subscribed and you're still here listening, I hope that means you're going to subscribe once this show ends. Please do so. Get into that YouTube comment section. Let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong about the matchups? Am I right? Am I wrong about Miami? Am I whatever? I have plenty of Miami folks listen to the podcast. I want to hop in and give their 2 cents. Are there tears in South Beach? Let me know what you think. And if you're one of those people who's with us every day, I love you. I love the fact that you're making the show part of your daily routine. Can you please share the podcast? Can you spread the word for me? Can you tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast? It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.